The controversy around Charlie Kirk has reached a breaking point. Joe Rogan just dropped bombshells about Erika Kirk, revealing shocking details that have blindsided Charlie and the public alike. For years, Erika's role in her son's career was largely behind the scenes, assumed to be supportive guidance. But new revelations suggest that her involvement may have crossed lines, influencing public messaging and shaping narratives in ways that Charlie himself may not have fully realized. In his latest podcast, Joe Rogan laid out the evidence, explaining how Erika's actions allegedly manipulated perceptions of Charlie's independence and credibility. "This isn't about attacking anyone personally," Rogan said. "It's about showing how influence works. Even well-intentioned guidance can have consequences when it's behind the scenes." Charlie Kirk's reaction to these revelations has been intense. While he publicly reaffirms his independence, insiders say he was caught off guard by the depth of his mother's involvement. Social media erupted as clips from Rogan's podcast circulated, with fans, critics, and media commentators debating the implications of Erika's actions. Hashtags like #ErikaKirkLies, #CharlieKirkShocked, and #JoeRoganExposed began trending, creating non-stop conversation across platforms. From alleged manipulation of public statements to hidden strategies behind media appearances, the controversy has left both supporters and critics questioning the authenticity of Charlie Kirk's narrative. Joe Rogan's unflinching expose has reignited the conversation about influence, transparency, and accountability, showing that even the most prominent public figures can be blindsided by those closest to them. Here's the full story of how Charlie Kirk was blindsided, Joe Rogan's shocking uncovering of Erika Kirk's lies, and the reactions that followed. Charlie Kirk has always been a figure under intense public scrutiny. Known for his outspoken views, rapid rise in conservative circles, and strong media presence, he has cultivated a persona of independence and strategic acumen. Yet behind this carefully constructed public image, a storm was quietly brewing. Recent revelations by Joe Rogan about Erika Kirk, Charlie's mother, have cast a new light on the family dynamics that shaped his career, leaving both Charlie and the public stunned. Rogan's podcast opened with a candid discussion about influence, control, and the unseen forces behind public figures. He emphasized that parental involvement is natural and often beneficial, but warned that it can sometimes veer into manipulation, whether intentional or not. In Erika Kirk's case, Rogan suggested that her influence had gone beyond guidance, directly shaping how Charlie presented himself to the world. "We often underestimate how much someone close to a public figure can shape the narrative," Rogan explained. "Even a parent can control information, timing, and messaging in subtle ways that impact perception." Specific examples were highlighted during the episode. Rogan detailed instances where Erika allegedly advised on phrasing during interviews, the timing of public statements, and social media strategies. While these actions may have been framed as supportive, the podcast implied that Charlie might not have been fully aware of how deeply involved his mother was in crafting his public persona. The revelation that some of his carefully curated statements were influenced behind the scenes came as a shock to both fans and critics. Social media reacted immediately. Clips from the podcast circulated rapidly across platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, sparking millions of views and endless discussions. Supporters of Charlie Kirk defended him, emphasizing that parental guidance is normal and necessary, especially for high-profile individuals navigating complex public careers. Critics, on the other hand, argued that these revelations called into question the authenticity of Charlie's independence, raising concerns about whether his public persona was partially orchestrated by Erika Kirk. The controversy intensified when insiders revealed that Erika had allegedly been involved in more than just guidance. Reports suggested she played a role in strategic planning for media campaigns and key interviews. While intended to protect her son and optimize his public image, these actions fueled speculation about control and manipulation. Rogan stressed that influence can occur even when it is well-meaning, and that awareness of such dynamics is essential for audiences seeking to understand the truth behind public personas. Charlie Kirk's initial response was measured but defensive. In interviews and social media posts, he acknowledged his mother's support while insisting that all career decisions were his own. "My mother has always been a supportive presence in my life," Charlie stated. "But every decision I've made publicly, every campaign, and every message is a reflection of my judgment, vision, and hard work." Despite his reassurances, the public discourse showed no signs of slowing down. Hashtags like #CharlieKirkBlindsided, #ErikaKirkLies, and #JoeRoganExposed trended for days, with users analyzing past interviews, speeches, and social media posts to find evidence of Erika's influence. Every phrase, gesture, and timing choice became a subject of debate, demonstrating how quickly perception can shift when previously hidden dynamics are revealed. Rogan's approach in the podcast was critical to the narrative. He framed the discussion not as an attack, but as an exploration of influence. He pointed out that even the most intelligent, aware public figures can be subtly guided by trusted individuals. "Influence doesn't have to be malicious to be powerful," Rogan said. "Even well-intentioned guidance can alter the narrative, shape perception, and impact decisions in ways that aren't immediately visible." The situation also drew attention from mainstream media and political commentators. Analysts discussed the broader implications of parental guidance in high-profile careers, noting that Erika Kirk's involvement highlighted a common, but often overlooked dynamic in the lives of public figures. Some commentators emphasized that acknowledging familial support is not inherently problematic, while others argued that transparency about influence is critical for maintaining credibility and trust with the public. Social media users continued to dissect every angle. Supporters of Charlie Kirk praised him for maintaining composure and asserting his independence, framing the story as an example of resilience in the face of public scrutiny. Critics, meanwhile, suggested that the revelations demonstrated a blurred line between mentorship and manipulation, raising questions about how much control a parent can or should have over an adult child's public life. Viral clips, discussion threads, and reaction videos kept the story alive, amplifying the conversation to unprecedented levels. The controversy also sparked discussions about the ethics of influence. Rogan's commentary encouraged audiences to consider how guidance, advice, and strategic support, even when provided with good intentions, can affect public perception. Viewers debated the fine line between mentorship and control, particularly when the audience is unaware of the forces shaping a public figure's narrative. These debates underscored the complexity of navigating private influence in highly visible public careers. Charlie Kirk's reaction to the exposure was further complicated by the personal nature of the revelations. Insider reports indicated that while he recognized his mother's supportive intentions, he was blindsided by the extent to which her actions had been publicly scrutinized. This tension between private family dynamics and public exposure added an emotional layer to the controversy, making it more than just a debate about influence. It became a story about trust, transparency, and personal boundaries. As the story developed, Rogan's podcast clips continued to circulate, prompting new waves of discussion. Analysts revisited previous statements, interviews, and media campaigns, looking for evidence of Erika's influence. Even seemingly minor decisions, like the phrasing of public statements, or the timing of social media posts, were scrutinized for hidden guidance. The public became increasingly engaged, with debates extending beyond Charlie Kirk, to include broader conversations about family influence in politics and media. By the end of Part 1, the stage was set for a deeper examination of the fallout. The revelations had already begun to reshape public perception of Charlie Kirk, highlighting the delicate balance between familial support and professional independence. Joe Rogan's exposure of Erika Kirk's alleged actions not only became a nationwide conversation, blending politics, family dynamics, and questions of authenticity. Social media erupted. Tweets, TikToks, and YouTube reaction videos flooded feeds, with hashtags like #ErikaKirkLies, #CharlieKirkBlindsided, and #JoeRoganExposed trending globally. Fans rushed to defend Charlie, insisting that parental guidance is a normal and natural part of life, particularly for someone navigating the pressures of public attention. Critics, however, argued that the revelations undermined claims of independence, suggesting that Charlie's carefully curated image had been orchestrated to some extent behind the scenes. Insiders close to the family offered additional details that fueled the fire. Reports emerged suggesting that Erika had been actively involved in strategic decisions, including the timing of interviews, phrasing of statements, and social media campaigns. While intended to guide and protect her son, these interventions raised eyebrows, with some questioning whether they had unintentionally blurred the line between support and control. Rogan emphasized that influence can be subtle and often goes unnoticed. Even well-intentioned actions can significantly impact public perception. People think influence has to be malicious to matter, he explained. But guidance, mentorship, or even parental advice can shape narratives in ways that aren't always obvious. This perspective resonated with many, sparking debates about the invisible forces that shape public figures' careers. Charlie Kirk responded publicly, releasing statements and posting on social media to clarify his position. He acknowledged his mother's support while emphasizing that all decisions, from political campaigns to public statements, were his own. "My mother has always been a supportive presence," Charlie stated. "But my actions, my work, and my public voice are entirely my own. I am responsible for every choice I make." Despite these reassurances, the controversy intensified. Analysts revisited past appearances, interviews, and social media posts to evaluate whether Erika's guidance had played a role. Every phrase, every social media post, and every strategic decision became fodder for debate. Some commentators argued that parental support is a natural and even necessary part of any public figure's life, while others raised concerns about authenticity and independence. The story also brought attention to the challenges of navigating private family dynamics in the public eye. Charlie's situation underscored how difficult it is for public figures to maintain autonomy while balancing relationships with influential family members. Personal trust, loyalty, and respect all intersected with public accountability, creating a complex narrative that captivated audiences. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan continued to weigh in on the ongoing discussions. He stressed that the revelations were not meant to damage Charlie or Erika personally, but to illuminate the dynamics at play. "Understanding influence is crucial," Rogan said. "People need to recognize that even subtle guidance can change the way a story is told, and ultimately how a public figure is perceived." The debate expanded to include questions about transparency and ethics. Should public figures disclose the influence of family members, especially when it might shape decisions or public messaging? Opinions were divided. Some argued that transparency builds trust and credibility, while others emphasized the importance of privacy in personal matters. The story of Charlie and Erika Kirk became a reference point for these broader discussions, illustrating how private relationships can become public concerns. Supporters of Charlie Kirk praised him for maintaining composure and for clearly asserting his independence. Critics, however, remained skeptical, questioning whether the revelations hinted at a deeper level of influence. The polarized responses highlighted how sensitive public perception is, particularly when private matters intersect with professional careers. The controversy also had implications beyond Charlie Kirk himself. Media outlets and political commentators used the story to discuss how influence operates in broader contexts, comparing it to similar situations involving other high-profile figures. Analysts emphasize that even subtle, well-intentioned influence can shape public narratives, affecting careers and public trust. Rogan's podcast continued to serve as a reference point for these discussions. Analysts frequently cited his commentary as a framework for understanding the interplay between family influence, mentorship, and public perception. His insights underscored the importance of critical thinking and context when evaluating statements or public personas, reminding audiences that appearances can be deceptive. Charlie Kirk's response strategy remained careful and deliberate. He continued to acknowledge Erika's supportive role while firmly reiterating his independence. Social media posts, interviews, and public statements all reinforced the same message: his career, choices, and public voice are the product of his own judgment and effort. This consistent messaging helped stabilize public perception, even amid ongoing debate. By midweek, the controversy had become a dominant topic across multiple media platforms. Viral clips, live reactions, and opinion pieces kept the story in constant circulation. Observers noted that the intensity of public engagement demonstrated the enduring fascination with behind-the-scenes dynamics, particularly when it involves influential public figures. The situation also highlighted a fundamental truth: even the most calculated public personas are vulnerable to scrutiny when private influences are revealed. Charlie Kirk's image, carefully constructed over years, was now being examined through a lens that exposed the complex web of guidance, mentorship, and influence shaping his decisions. Rogan's revelations served as a reminder that public perception is fragile, and transparency can be as much a protective tool as it is a challenge. As Part 2 closes, it becomes clear that the story is not just about Erika Kirk or Charlie Kirk individually. It is about the broader conversation regarding influence, transparency, and accountability in the public sphere. The revelations have prompted reflection on how private dynamics affect public narratives, and how audiences interpret the authenticity of public figures. Social media reactions, mainstream media coverage, and ongoing commentary suggests that the saga is far from over. The debate has only just reached its peak. The revelations about Erika Kirk's influence on Charlie Kirk's career had ignited a firestorm, and by Part 3, the story had reached its peak. Social media, mainstream media, and political commentary outlets were ablaze with debate. Charlie Kirk, blindsided by the unexpected depth of the exposure, had to navigate the difficult balance of defending his independence while addressing public scrutiny. Following the intense viral response to Joe Rogan's podcast, Charlie held an exclusive interview with a leading news network. He opened up candidly about the emotional toll of having family matters and private guidance exposed to millions. "It's been incredibly challenging," he admitted. "I've always valued my mom's support, but the narrative that my career has been orchestrated by anyone else is not true. I've built my path through my own choices, my own effort, and my own strategy." The interview sent ripples across the internet. Clips circulated rapidly, receiving millions of views, likes, and shares. Fans applauded Charlie for standing his ground and reaffirming his independence, but critics argued that the very fact he had to publicly defend himself indicated prior influence. The hashtag #CharlieKirkIndependent trended alongside #ErikaKirkExpose and #JoeRoganImpact, symbolizing the polarized public response. Meanwhile, Erika Kirk issued a carefully crafted public statement through her spokesperson. She expressed pride in her son while denying any attempts to control or manipulate his career. "Charlie is an incredibly independent, driven individual," her statement read. "My role has always been supportive, offering advice and guidance when asked. Any suggestion that I have directed his decisions is inaccurate." Despite these statements, online speculation did not subside. Media analysts and commentators revisited previous interviews, speeches, and social media campaigns to examine the potential influence Erika may have had. Every decision, phrasing choice, and public appearance became fodder for debate. The controversy underscored family matters. The situation became a case study in understanding the fine line between mentorship and control in public life. On social media, reactions were as polarized as ever. Supporters celebrated Charlie's composure, framing his ability to assert independence despite family influence as a testament to his character. Critics, however, argued that the episode revealed vulnerabilities in his image, pointing to moments in past interviews or campaigns that might have been subtly guided. Viral compilations, reaction videos, and threads dissected the story in painstaking detail, keeping the conversation alive for days. In addition to online debate, mainstream media outlets highlighted the implications of this controversy for politics and media personalities at large. Analysts compared Charlie Kirk's situation with other public figures who had navigated family influence, showing that the balance between guidance and independence is a common, but often underappreciated challenge. Many emphasized that understanding these dynamics is crucial for audiences seeking to assess credibility and authenticity. Charlie's careful handling of the situation became a case study in crisis management. He engaged with media outlets selectively, reiterated his independence consistently on social media, and avoided direct conflict or personal attacks. By reinforcing a clear and consistent narrative that he was responsible for his career decisions while valuing his mother's supportive role, he managed to stabilize public perception, even amidst continued speculation. The controversy also sparked broader discussions about the psychology of influence. Experts weighed in on how guidance from trusted figures, including family members, can subtly shape decision-making, even in adults. Rogan's commentary highlighted that influence is not inherently negative, but the lack of awareness and transparency can distort public perception. This added nuance to the ongoing debate, prompting audiences to consider the complexity behind public personas. By now, the story had fully captured public imagination. News outlets ran follow-up pieces, social media analysts produced detailed breakdowns, and opinion commentators weighed in from all sides. The focus extended beyond the specific relationship between Charlie and Erika Kirk, touching on universal themes of autonomy, accountability, and perception. Audiences were invited to examine how unseen forces shape the narrative of public figures, and how even subtle influence can have outsized effects. Charlie Kirk, despite the public scrutiny, continued to assert his independence. He engaged in additional interviews and social media posts, maintaining a balance between acknowledging support and defending autonomy. "I respect my mother's advice and appreciate her guidance," he said in one post, "but my career, my voice, and my choices are my own. That is what defines me as an individual and as a public figure." As Part 3 closes, it becomes clear that the saga of Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk, and Joe Rogan's revelations is more than a family dispute. It is a case study in public perception, influence, and authenticity. The story illustrates how private guidance can become public controversy, how media amplification shapes narratives, and how public figures must navigate the delicate line between support and independence. Ultimately, Joe Rogan's expose and the reactions it triggered serve as a reminder that public personas are influenced by numerous factors, often invisible to the audience. Charlie Kirk's handling of the situation, asserting independence while acknowledging support, highlights the importance of transparency, clear messaging, and maintaining credibility in the face of scrutiny. The conversation around Erika Kirk's influence will likely continue to shape public perception and debate, illustrating the complex interplay between private relationships and public image. The episode leaves audiences with lingering questions. How much influence is acceptable in shaping a public figure's narrative? Where does guidance end and control begin? And how do public figures maintain authenticity when their private lives are exposed to intense scrutiny? The answers may vary, but one thing is certain: the Kirk family saga, amplified by Joe Rogan's revelations, has permanently reshaped the discussion around influence, transparency, and accountability in public life. The shocking revelations about Erika Kirk's influence on Charlie Kirk, uncovered by Joe Rogan, have captivated audiences worldwide. This story isn't just about a family dispute, it's a lesson in how influence operates behind the scenes and the complexities public figures face when their private lives collide with public scrutiny. Charlie Kirk's experience highlights the delicate balance between guidance and autonomy, and how even well-intentioned support can be interpreted in ways that challenge perceptions of independence. Audiences witnessed Charlie navigating intense scrutiny with measured responses, reaffirming his independence while acknowledging his mother's support. His approach underscores an essential lesson for anyone in the public eye. Maintaining credibility requires transparency, clear messaging, and the courage to assert your own voice, even when powerful influences are at play. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan's role in exposing these dynamics demonstrates the power of media to illuminate hidden factors and encourage critical thinking among viewers. The saga also sparks broader discussions about authenticity, trust, and accountability. Fans, critics, and commentators alike have debated where the line between mentorship and control lies, and how private relationships can shape public narratives in subtle yet significant ways. It's a reminder that behind every public persona, there are often unseen forces at work, and understanding these forces is key to forming a complete picture of any public figure. Stay engaged, question assumptions, and remember, what you see publicly is rarely the full story. The Kirk family controversy teaches us to look deeper, think critically, and recognize the complex interplay between influence, perception, and personal agency.